Now, the Asset Forfeiture Unit and the Special Investigating Unit have been granted a preservation order to freeze a farm and an agricultural holding in Gauteng. It's worth about 53 million rand. It's all linked to a fraudulent transfer of government land to private entities and individuals. Let's bring in SIU spokesperson Kaizer Kganyago joining us this afternoon. And this is quite a big investigation you're involved with now. You've got the order in place. What can you tell me about the investigation, Kaizer?
Thank you very much, Gareth, and to your viewers. This investigation has been going on for a long time. I think when we first got the proclamation, it was in 2014. And then we found that there's still areas that we needed to deal with. And then the proclamation was then amended in 2015 and then again in 2017 so that we can get to what we wanted. And now, if you remember, sometime in September last year, we freezed some of the farms, I think at the time, or the land. And at the time, the land was about 144 million worth. And now this is the second tranche that we are doing with these ones, which is 53 million. In total, so far in this proclamation, we have freezed assets to the value of almost 200 million rand.
Are you able to tell me which government land and which department this land belongs to?
Yes, there's the government department that was defrauded in this particular instance is the former Rural Development and Land Affairs. And the areas that have been seized this time around is a holding, in agricultural holding, which is 34 Beverly Street in Gauteng, and then a portion of a farm in Zerfontein, which is portion number 296 in Zerfontein. Those are the two that together are worth 53 million.
So how do you take this investigation forward? Are you investigating individuals or are you investigating businesses and entities, or is it a combination of both?
Yes, we are investigating all the land that was transferred to individuals. Therefore, where we find these individuals, we then follow on them. Where we found that they are entities, because as you can see from the list that we have put in the statement, it is a combination of the development institutions, the companies and individuals. Therefore, it doesn't matter which one you deal with. We come and look at it because we believe that there's a lot of land that was distributed, especially when the new government came into play, and then a lot of people then just moved land around and then gave it to themselves for their personal gratification.
Yeah, for their personal benefit. Give me a sense then of where this goes to next. I imagine the National Prosecuting Authority either working alongside you or as SIU, do you hand this over to NPA? What's step 2 here?
We have already done that. In line with our act, we found that there is criminality in this regard. We have already referred this to the NPA, who has further now opened up a criminal case with the police, and this is what is already happening, and then they will take it from there. All that we worry about is to then, on the civil side, to make sure that we then, if there's anything to recover from the benefit that the people have accrued out of this land over a period of time, we'll have to do so.
And I imagine this is all in aid as well of fighting corruption in the country. So this is very much a big nail in a very big coffin, which is sending a message about corruption in South Africa. Regardless of where the land is, how many people are involved, they will eventually get caught out, won't they?
No, definitely. We will definitely. As you can see, this department doesn't even exist anymore as a department as it is. It used to be called Rural Development and Land Reform. But we still follow those matters, even when that department has changed.
Even though the department has changed and essentially is not in existence anymore, Kaizer, do we know if there were any members of the Department of Rural Development involved in this criminality, any of them being investigated?
We are still continuing the investigation, but in most of our investigation, we always find collusion between these people who are from the outside and the people in the department. And in this particular case, we also find that there are people that they were colluding in at the deeds registry offices in Vryburg and in Johannesburg, and some in Pretoria.
A timeline on this. I imagine you want to get this in court and before a judge? I don't imagine a magistrate. I imagine this is going to sit before a judge. How quickly, realistically, could this end up in the courts?
Yeah, for the civil side, we are now that we've got the freezing, we are not, because we have got control of it as the SIU, we will then work again with the asset forfeiture unit to make sure that we then go on the civil side and deal with anything that we need. I think we have about 60 days to do that. But on the criminal side, I think the matter is now before the National Prosecuting Authority and the police. If they need further investigation, we are available to assist.
Just as I start saying goodbye to you, just give me a sense of the extent of the investigation. How big was this investigation for the SIU? How many types of resources did you have to pull in? Because this is an awful amount of money that we're talking about. Tell me about the investigation.
No, the investigation is huge, and I think we are just at the beginning of it, because when we do such kind of investigation, we then get more information where some individuals are getting a lot of the government properties in the provinces and everywhere else. And therefore, that might end up being as huge as the COVID investigation, because what we are unraveling now, it's a lot of this kind of things happening in all the provinces, and we'll ultimately do that. And we put a lot of resources around it, but obviously we don't have enough as we would want to, but we will continue to put all the resources that we need into such kind of investigation, because some of them need expertise that we sometimes get from time to time to make sure that we get to the bottom of this, because these people are complicated with this kind of corruption.